Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income. Listen and learn how 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate to create a lifestyle that most people only dream about. A lifestyle that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here is your host, real estate investor and mentor, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where, as always, we're talking about using real estate to build a second stream of income. Many people refer to it as a passive stream of income, but I use the term second stream of income because for a lot of people, it's active or semi-active, meaning if you have 20 houses, it might take you 10 hours a month to run 20 houses. So it's semi-active, and you're making $6,000 to $8,000 a month profit. So most people would work 10 hours a month for an extra $6,000 to $8,000. So I'm calling it a second income stream. And I want you to focus for a moment on what your life would be like right now if you had a second stream of income. As we go through this COVID response, and we're all suffering, everybody, including real estate investors, I don't think we're getting hit as hard as, well, I know for a fact because I've got a seminar company that's dead in the water because we can't even do meetings. That's certainly not, it's certainly not as bad in the real estate, that's for sure, because most people are paying their rent. You know, the worst that I've seen is 20% vacancy, counting the non-pays. And I bet it's a little bit better than that on average, based on the couple of people that, well, it's been more than a couple actually, it's been 4 or 5 that called me to give me this information so I could use it on the radio show. Then the single family people are calling me with 100% collections, 95% collections. So we're not getting hit as hard as other companies, as other businesses are. But you have to be honest, it is hitting people. So what would it be like, though, if you had a second stream of income coming in? Could you travel more? Could you romance your spouse more? Could you spend more time with your kids? I want you to think about a different thing, though, today. How would you feel? And the reason is I was putting up some artwork, and this piece of artwork is like a Monopoly playing piece. And it shows a guy with the deed to a yacht, you know, the little Monopoly guy. He's got a deed to a yacht, deed to a mansion, deed to a Ferrari or something, title to a Ferrari or something. And it goes, happiness. You can't buy it. And I have struggled with that for 30 years. I think it's like that phrase, money is the root of all evil. It's just flat out not true. Because in yin yang, if money is the root of all evil, then what is money also? The root of all good. Now we know that's not true. So neither of those statements is true. And by the way, that's not even the actual phrase. Everybody says it. What the Bible says is the love of money is the root of all evil. But even that's not accurate because people are murdered and raped for many other reasons. Money's not the root of all evil. But anyway, the thing I'm struggling with is that I believe that money expands happiness. It doesn't buy happiness, but it most assuredly expands happiness. See, when I was broke, I was the happy dumb guy. I was so happy, but I was broke, and I was stressing all the time. But I was young and strong, and I could handle it well, and I was very optimistic. But I was happy. But I will tell you this. Once I learned all this material and I started making a lot of money, I was a lot happier. A lot happier. Let's go to the phone lines. We have a caller already, and we'll come back to this thought. We're going to West University in Houston and talk to Chad. Chad, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you doing today?
Good. Just had a quick question regarding, assuming if you have a tenant that doesn't pay their rent and doesn't even make arrangements to make payments, can you still start the eviction process now? Should you still do that, or do you even have to wait till all this is over?
Yeah, you've got to wait. As I understand it, you've got to wait until they take, I think it's called a moratorium on evictions. You've got to wait until that's lifted. But what you want to do is call your judge for that, wherever that property is. Find out who the judge is that's going to handle that eviction, and go ahead and reach out to them. Ask them if they have any special conditions for eviction, and find out what timeline it is, so that the day that it comes into being, you've got that 3-day eviction notice on their door.
Okay, great. Yeah, 4 of my houses have all paid in full, but one of them, he always pays late. I don't know. I'm hoping he's going to pay it, but we'll see.
And he won't even call you?
I haven't tried to call him yet. I'm going to give him 2 more days before I call him, but I just wonder what the process is.
What day does he usually pay? Because this is a long time to wait to call him.
He usually pays around the 10th.
I see what you're doing. You're waiting till the 10th. Okay. Yeah, I'd put some pressure on him on the 10th, that's for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Chad. Good luck. Take care. So my opinion is that phrase, money doesn't buy happiness, is not entirely true. Because I've been poor and I've been wealthy. And I was a lot happier wealthy. I am a lot happier now than I was, but I was still happy though. The reason that I think the term exists is because there's certain people who are unhappy whether they've got money or not. For them, it's true. Money doesn't buy you happiness. But for a normal person who enjoys taking care of their family, enjoys providing for their family, when they have more money and are a better provider, I'm sorry, that builds on your happiness. There was nothing. When Josie got pregnant with our first child, Trevor, I was scared to death. All I saw were clothes, a car eventually, college. And at the time, I was just starting out in real estate. I hadn't really made any money yet, so I was scared to death. And we'll talk more about that when we come back from the break, and I'll explain what I meant by I was still happy, but I wanted more for my family. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got questions for me, please feel free to call 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. And you're listening to AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Did you know that 95% of Americans fail to retire by age 65 and 36% are dead? The good news is that here at the GetRealWealth.com radio show, we know what the other 5% are doing. 70% of them own real estate. We are a mentoring group for new and experienced real estate investors. We will show you how to build a second stream of income that will allow you to retire at any age. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, please go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, you got 2 ways to ask. Email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. I just emptied my email box, so if you email me, I'll see it immediately. AskSteve@getrealwealth.com, or give me a call, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. And we're talking about money and happiness. And I don't want to move away from, I don't want to just contradict the point, money can't buy you happiness, because there is some truth to it for people who are generally unhappy anyway. You find somebody who's negative and miserable, give them $1 million and they'll find something to be negative about that. So, but for the normal person who's out there, they got married, they got a kid on the way, or they got a couple of kids, and they love to provide for their family. Man, money does buy happiness. It really does. Like I said, I remember when Josie told me she was pregnant, again with our first child, Trevor, and I was pretending to be happy, and I was just so scared. I was like, man, I can barely support myself. I can barely support her. We're both working, so I really wasn't even supporting her. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And all these fears came up. And at the time, I had not read Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins. So I was still at that point where emotions controlled me. And it was painful thinking about it. Well, I then began reading further. I'd actually started the book, and I began reading further into it and got control of my emotions. But the fear was still there. It was still there. And when you start making big money, and by big money, God, how do you define that? It's different for everybody. But I will tell you that at $200,000 a year, the quality of lifestyle is extremely high. It's a very peaceful environment. Unless, of course, you get, what is that called? Lifestyle creep, where every time you get a raise, you buy something that increases your expenses, so the raise means nothing. I think it's lifestyle creep or something like that, where it creeps up on you. No matter how much money you make, you keep spending more of it on cars, nicer houses, nicer clothes, so you don't ever really realize it. But if you're living like you make $70,000 a year and you make $200,000 a year, man, it's nice. I'm telling you. When you break $1 million a year, it's insane. It's crazy what you can do. There's nothing you can't do. So as the passive income started coming in, or take it back, because I was active. As my second stream of income started coming in, I noticed myself sleeping better. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I would snap at my wife because I wasn't really mad at her. I was mad at my money situation. That went away. We made love more. We were happier together. It changed everything. Having a second stream of income increases your quality of lifestyle, not just double. It's quadruple or more. And I can't stress that enough. You make $8,000 a month off your earned income. You reach a point where you're making $8,000 a month secondary income. I'm telling you, it doesn't just double your quality of lifestyle, it's quadruple. Everything falls into place. Again, you sleep better. You don't snap at your kids. You don't snap at your wife. It is amazing. And that's all we're talking about on this show, really, is building that second stream of income. And eventually, hopefully, it becomes completely passive for you when you retire, if you choose to retire, which I'm not a fan of retirement, as you know. So what I want to talk about today, and I promised you on Facebook and social media, is apartments versus single family. At what time is one better than the other? Now, my opinion and my past experience tell me that there are times when single family is better than apartments. But what you've got to understand is it's rare. I don't know a statistic. I'd say somewhere between 80 and 90% of the time, apartments are the better way to go. But yesterday on the show, a good friend of the show Richard, emails me because I said that this guy that had $800,000 should sell those houses and go buy an apartment complex. And Richard emailed me. Let me read this in its entirety. It's not long, but you need to hear what he has to say. He says, I just heard you say you're done with single family and belong in apartments. I actually started with apartments and am finding single family is offering better rates of return right now versus apartments. I also think there are a few things people tend to forget with apartments. One, a lag of 6 to 12 months to find a deal. 2, a lag of 12 to 18 months to rehab the deal. And then when you do refinance, he says sell, sorry. When you sell, you start over and money is on the sideline for 12, and he uses the number 30 months. Now, Richard, that's the only one. I think this is a well-written email, and it really got me thinking. But the 30 months, I don't know about that. I don't think I've ever waited even 12 months to find another place to put my money. But what I think he's referring to is the one time that I think single family's better. And guess what time that is? The super up, about to crash market. And guess what we just came out of before COVID hit us? The super up, about to crash market. So I think Richard's right. He also, let me read the last sentence. Single family allows you more control than passive. I guess he means if you're passive. In the current market, you also have better returns. So he's bringing up that point again. And his numbers, he's showing around 8 to 10% on his single family versus apartments, which are only, and he says 5 to 7. I've seen 4 to 6. So he's about right, or probably is right based on his past experience. So Richard, thank you for getting me thinking and giving me the material to do this show today. If you look at the last 3 or 4 years, and Richard, don't get mad at me when I say this, you know what my rates of return on single family are? 20 plus. I just got off the phone with another member, Brian. He goes, yeah. I go, what are you making on your single family? You go, 24. So I think, Richard, you need to sit down with me and let me show you the style deals that I do and what I don't do. I think you can get an even better rate of return on your single families than you're getting. But even if you're making we'll say 20% rate of return, right in between what Richard brought up and what I say we can get, 20% over a 5-year period is a 100% rate of return in 5 years. But if we're in the medium to down market, let's call the middle market the balanced market, where it's neither a buyer nor a seller's market. It's just right there in the middle. It's pretty fair, good pricing. And then we have the buyer's market, the down market, where you make, well, let's go back to the balanced market, the middle market. You make 50 to 100% rate of return at the end of 2 years. But then what Richard brings up is, what if it takes you 2 years to find your next deal? He even goes as far as 2.5 years. Well, first, Richard, I don't think that's going to happen to you. I really think it's 12 months or less. I've never waited 12 months had to wait 12 months to find my next deal. Oof, Richard, I'm gonna say something. I wonder, Richard, if you're not too particular. Is that the right word? Too picky. You may be missing opportunities because you're waiting for the home run deal when there's some triples and doubles out there. And that's why it took 30 months to get into a deal. That's what I think may have happened, Richard, but I could be wrong. But for me, I never took more than 12 months to get in a deal. So if I make 50%, we'll go with the low number, at the end of 2 years, and it takes me a year to find it, and then I get a 50% the next 2 years. In 5 years, I've made a 100% rate of return, but I did nothing. We'll talk more about that when we come back from the break. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle. Listen to the GetRealWealth.com radio show to find out how you can do it too. Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on the voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking about single family versus multifamily. And, well, let me use the phrase apartments because people get confused. Multifamily is not duplexes. Remember, 4 units or less is still single family. But in the last 3 years, because we were at the top of the market, I was finding it better to be in single family. And so what I just did is I did an analysis where if you're making 20% rate of return on your single families and you're running them yourself, because you're not going to make that rate of return if you've got somebody else running them, you're going to make a 100% rate of return over a 5-year period. Then I did an apartment analysis where we got a 50% rate of return at the end of the second year. We went 1 year to find our next deal, and then we got a 50% rate of return on that, giving us what? 100% rate of return in 5 years. So those are equal rates of return. But the point I brought up, the last sentence I said before I went to break, was what? The apartment was completely passive. You did nothing on that deal but put up your money. No phone calls, no leasing, no nothing. No 10 hours a month. Nothing. You read a report quarterly and deposit a check quarterly. That's all you did. So apartments allow you to move to that passive stage much, much quicker and get the same rate of return that you would managing single family. Here's the problem that I'm seeing. There's someone out there, Grant Cardone, who's putting together a REIT. And by the way, I love Grant Cardone. The 10X book, amazing. Anytime you get a chance to see him live, he's phenomenal. But he's put together a REIT, or if that's the right way you say it, real estate investment trust, and he's telling people that that is apartment investing. A REIT is not apartment investing. It's no better than a stock. See, people are going, oh, I want to invest in apartments. I'm going to go with Grant Cardone. No, you're not. That's no better than stocks. You may as well just stay in the stock market if you're going to do that. His rates of return are going to be so low by comparison to doing a deal with one of the companies here in Houston that it's not even going to be comparable. Not even comparable. And single family will destroy his apartment deals. But with us or other local companies, you get a much, much, much higher rate of return on these apartments. Now, let's go to the moderate or down market. In the moderate market, you're going to crack up when I say this. Guess what your rate of return is on single family? Same thing, 20-25%. In the down market, what is it? Same thing, 20-25%. In other words, single family doesn't change that much. And again, this is my past experience. Some of you may have had a different past experience, and you're welcome to email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. But whether I bought in 2008 or whether I bought in 2015, 16, 17, 18, I guess, I was getting anywhere from 18 to 24% rate of return. So we'll say 20%. But in 2008, we weren't getting a 50% rate of return at the end of 2 years on our apartments. We were getting 150% rate of return. So when you do that over a 5-year period, giving yourself a year to find your second deal, you're talking about a 200 to 300% rate of return compared to 125% rate of return on single family. So this is why you hear other radio shows preach apartments are the best, because they really are. They allow you to go passive quicker, and they make a higher rate of return in those mid-market, the balanced market, and the down market. So when you average all that together, the apartments really are better. Now, with that said, if you have 40 houses and you're kicking butt, I got no objection to you continuing to kick butt with your single family houses. There was one guy I knew that had like 123 houses. He just refused to switch to apartments. He had probably $10 million in equity. He could have gone and paid cash for an apartment complex, which of course we don't do, but it was just an insane opportunity. He loved single family. It made him happy. If single family makes you happy, like Richard, he feels like he has more control. He gets a higher cash-on-cash rate of return. Richard, I think you should be getting a higher cash-on-cash rate of return than you are. But it's okay to be happy. You know, there's constantly, and I do it, I'm guilty of it, I'm constantly putting pressure on people to want more out of life. But there's also the wisdom of getting what you want and quitting. Have the wisdom to quit. More is not better in many cases. Now for me, I like more and more and more and more and more. It's just fun to me. It's become a game. It's like Monopoly, like I was joking about earlier. I love it. But I can tell you this, once I got past $200,000 a year income, even when I made $1 million a year, I was not happier. I was just as happy, and it was more fun to make $1 million a year. But I'll tell you what, this is interesting to me. I hope it's interesting to you too. I wasn't any happier at $1 million a year compared to 200,000, but you get me below 200,000, I'm not happy at all. I don't like it. I don't feel safe. I don't feel secure. So, in conclusion to this analysis of the two, I think you have to understand that at different times, and with different goals, in other words, what if, I'll pick on Richard again, what if Richard he loves to run single family homes? It's fun to him. You say, well, that can't be. Listen, let me tell you something. There's people that love to dig ditches. There's people that love to slop pigs. And I don't mean they do it because they have to. They love it. Be careful of judging other people in the jobs that they choose. They may love it. It brings them joy, pleasure. So maybe Richard is a joyful single-family manager. Then keep doing it, Richard. Go to 100 houses if you want, whatever you want, and then have the wisdom to quit. But I think it's based on the information I've laid out over the last 20 minutes. Multifamily is faster at getting you to passive than single family is. Because it may take you 5 years to pick up 30 houses, whereas if you wait a year and buy, it takes you 2 years to buy a 30-unit apartment, or say you'd need 60 units to equal 30 houses. To buy a 60-unit apartment, you're still ahead of the game. So it's definitely faster, and in the down market, it's got a much higher rate of return than single family does. And guess what we're headed into? A temporary down market, I believe. And again, I'm speculating. You know, I hate speculating, but I really believe that when we come out of this COVID response, there's going to be a lot of people letting go of their houses. A lot of people will be forced to let go of their houses. This was brought up in an article that if you look at Fertitta, he laid off 40,000 people. How many of you think he's going to hire back 40,000? Nobody, right? Why? Because he's going to lean up. It's his opportunity to cut costs and only rehire 32,000 of them or 35,000 of them. Do you see what I mean when I say that there's going to be a lot of people still out of work even after the COVID response is over? So there's going to be a lot of foreclosures, a lot of people wanting to get out of their homes and into apartments because they can no longer afford the mortgage payment. So I think there's a tremendous opportunity coming. I just want to make sure that you have yourself ready for it so you don't look back on it like almost everybody looks back on 2008 and goes, man, I wish I had bought some houses in 2008. Well, we're going to be saying the same thing in 10 years about 2020, 2021, maybe even 2022. So make sure you're getting yourself educated, you're reading, and you're preparing to attend seminars as soon as you're allowed to again, and be prepared to take action on this marketplace that's coming. All right, this is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. You can find us online at GetRealWealth.com if you'd like to register for our, actually I'm doing a webinar next Thursday. Go to GetRealWealth.com, upper right-hand corner, it says free workshop. Check that out, please. We'll be back after the break with more of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Thanks for listening. Did you know that 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle? You can and should have some real estate in your portfolio. This is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Starting with bad credit and no money at age 27, I began investing in real estate. By 30, I was retired. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, feel free to call right now, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. You're, of course, listening to KSEV, AM 700, the voice of Texas. You can also email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. So, in conclusion, and I know I said that before, but in conclusion, you have to really look at the marketplace and you have to look at what you love to do. It sounds to me like I've got an individual who loves to run single family. He's good at it. He loves his tenants. He loves working with them, and he's happy. Doggone it, that's okay. But if you're just in it as a passive, and you're really just in it for the profit, And I know that you're, of course, helping and serving other people with your money. But your main focus for what you want out of it is the profit, then apartments are the way to go, whether passive or as a syndicator putting the deal together. Okay, let's switch gears now and go to some emails. And I want to start off with a Bigger Pockets question, which really kind of, and there were this morning on Bigger Pockets, I couldn't believe how many people get the idea that you can go on a forum or listen to a radio show and that replaces getting a mentor. I don't know where people get that idea. They also think that they don't need to join a real estate investor group. What? That's just crazy. Why would you not join a real estate investor group? Doesn't have to be mine, but if you're going to be a real estate investor, don't you want to hang out with experienced real estate investors once in a while? On the off chance that you might learn something? It just drives me nuts. Listen to this question. I'm not going to say his name. How do I identify a good private lender when you are new to real estate investing? Is that even a question? Here's how you find private lenders. Join a real estate investor group who has a vendor program, or join a real estate investor group and ask around till you find some private lenders. That's how you do it. You don't get on a forum and that goes out to an entire country and ask. That's not the highest and best use. Not that there's anything wrong with doing it, but it's not the most effective way. You know, it's kind of like the Ferrari Club. Why did I join the Ferrari Club? To be around other people that own Ferraris. That's what you do. I don't know what. Are you going to just sit out there by yourself and trial and error it and maybe read a book and hope it's the right book and go out there and do it, see what happens, fail, and then come back and try it again and hope you don't fail? It's just crazy. Do not do that. Get a doggone mentor that will hold you by the hand through your first few deals, that's been where you're trying to go. You've got to have someone on your team that's where you're trying to go. Otherwise, it's going to take you decades to do what you could do after a weekend class. So there were multiple questions this morning where my answer on Bigger Pockets was join a real estate investor group. Let me see if I can find one. Here we go. Here's another one. I'm currently doing deals in the Little Rock area in search of investors looking to invest in that particular area. If this sounds like you, please feel free to reach out for detailed info. You're kidding me, right? Maybe someone will be on at the time that your question hits Bigger Pockets. Maybe they don't delete it when it comes into their mailbox. Because I get 100 Bigger Pockets emails every day. I only answer 10 of them, 12 of them. I just don't have time. I think most people, successful real estate investors, probably are about the same. They could easily miss this question, and I'm sure the majority do. But if this guy, this is a woman, if she would join a local real estate investor group, guess where? In Little Rock, where she lives, she could meet all kinds of investors that would want her deals. So don't be like, and I know I'm picking on these people and I hope they're not listening, but don't be like these people. Join a real estate investor group if you're going to be a real estate investor. It'd be like, I'm going to be a football player, but I'm not going to be on a team. What? Okay, so who are you going to play? Who's going to be on your team? So you're not going to have a team? It's going to be you playing football? Well, everybody else has a team, so you're going to get killed. And that's how it is with real estate. If you're out there by yourself without a team, you're going to get slaughtered in the marketplace. No doubt. Just like the football example I just used. Okay. Now, here's the next one. Hey guys, so what's the best way to start? Single family, duplex, what about trailer parks and marinas? Wow, what a range of a question, Tyler. This is, and it's a good question too. So it really just depends. The first, and again, here's the answer. Remember I told you it was like over and over again I kept getting this people with the same problem. They wouldn't be asking this question if they were a member of a real estate investor group. So the first part of my answer is the best place to start is to get a mentor and join a local real estate investor group. Many people skip this step and end up failing because real estate is not intuitive at all. You need to understand the complete business model and know the best practices before you start. Then, and only then, do you choose which type of property to buy. Single family is the best way to start as a rule. It's easiest to run and acquire. However, if you have a lot of money, you should skip single family and go straight to apartments. I do not like plexes at all, except when you can buy a lot of them all at once in one location, much like an apartment complex. And certainly a marina, do you have any idea how expensive marinas are per square foot? Or do they do it by the gallon? Insane. It's really kind of a funny question, a marina. Trailer parks, I will tell you, no. Those are depreciating assets, not appreciating assets. Do I know people that have trailer parks? They're cash cows. They produce a lot of cash flow. But when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, that thing's not appreciating like real estate does. So you're losing millions of dollars compared to owning an apartment complex. In other words, if you go buy a mobile home park, in 20 years, your mobile homes will be worth nothing. You'll just have the raw land. If you go buy an apartment complex for $10 million, in 20 years, it'll be worth $20 million. Big difference. Big difference. So be very cautious of trailer parks. They're okay to buy for cash flow, but you got to understand, you're losing millions of dollars compared to putting that same money into an actual apartment complex. Okay, phone lines are open. Just a couple more minutes. It's 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or you're welcome to email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. And also, if you would like to sit on that webinar next Thursday, I'm going to give my sales pitch for joining our group, but it includes 13 pillars of success and happiness. It's not just about real estate. It's how to build a life around your real estate, or it's probably better to say it the opposite, which is I'm going to teach you how to use real estate to build a passive income stream around the important parts of your life, which are family, romance, fitness, travel, and all the things you want to do with your life. I'll also go over the 8 reasons that we chose real estate above any other investment, and I'll show you how real estate makes you money, with both single family analysis and apartment analysis. So I'll show you both types of investment. And that's next Thursday evening from 6:30 to 7:30, and I'm sure it'll be less than an hour. If you'd like to watch that, it's going to be on Facebook and Instagram, so you have to have one of those accounts. I just realized I don't even want to do this on Instagram because you can't see the PowerPoint. Interesting. It may end up just being on Facebook, but don't worry, the following week we're going to do one that's just regular that anybody can watch. But go to getrealwealth.com, upper right-hand corner, click on the free workshop and register. All right, everybody, thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day. Stay safe.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.